Ooh. Another episode of Sandy the Landy. Here's an even bigger mess. I'm not going to need a barber, I'm going to need a bloody sheep shearing station when I get out of this lockdown. Anyway, another episode of Sandy the Landy. Wipers. Right, so the wiper motor's in. I've not put the insulating plate behind it yet, but that can soon go in. So when you buy these new wiper motors, they don't come with the main gear. So the main gear is the one that sits underneath this cover here, and it's held in place by a C-clip or a spring clip I think it was, spring clip on the back here. In fact, there it is. That little spring clip just there, you can see the little ridge. There. Look at that. So take that out. I had to clean up the end of the shaft for now a little bit, wipe it off on the curtains, and then I was able to push the original gear out, remove the motor from the body because it makes life an awful lot easier. And then when the motor's out of the body, you can take the armature out. So this is the old armature, and the idea then is you can install the new gear and push the new armature in whilst locating it on the brushes. And when it's all located and everything, then you can put the outer cover on. Okay, that's how I put it together. A piece of cake. Tested it worked, part function and everything works. It's all located in place now. I took the wipers off. They weren't particularly, I knew I was going to have to take them off anyway. The reason for that is I don't know where the park position was going to be. So let us now see if this is still not all put together yet, because I've got on order the ignition switch and got no power. Let's put the battery on. Should we put the battery on? Let's put the battery on. Okie doke. Right, okay, ignition on. I can see the ignition light when it comes on. There he is, ignition light's on. Now, wipers. That sounds like they're working. Oh, they are working. Well, that's nice, isn't it? Right, so wiper motor's working. I can screw that in. Don't need to adjust the wheel boxes any further. And does the part work? Yes, it does. Well, I'm assuming it works because it ran for a little while after I turned the switch off. Oh, that's all good news, isn't it? Right. Disconnect battery again. I'm only disconnecting this because the dash is all over the place, as you've seen. Once I get those new switches in, then I'll be able to do that. So let's get this wiper motor fitted up. I just need to put that behind the motor body. I can do that in a second, and then just tighten it up onto the bulkhead. Yeah, that's that done. Wiper motor installed. I've already cleaned up the cover that goes over it, but I don't need to put that on necessarily now. Rather hoping that this big package here that's come in from, I think this has come in from Famous Fall, has got the fuel pump gasket in there. It's obviously got the exhaust in it. I'm not worried about fitting the exhaust just yet. I want to get the fuel pump up and running, so that's going to be my target for the day. If the fuel pump is in there, we'll get that sorted out. We don't need to worry about the rest of it, and we'll go for a drive around the field. That'll pick us all up, won't it? Oh yes. Okie dokie. Bastard thing. Right, okay, so I've taken the old AC Type E, not F, diaphragm out, and you can see very clearly it's completely fucking different from the one supplied. Good job I haven't opened this packet. Also, this one in the packet does not provide the dodgy seal or that I've got that was holding the float bowl. So I don't know what I've ordered. I thought it was the right parts. Fuck sticks. Right, okay, you're going to have to go and work out what I've ordered and what I should have ordered now. Update. Yeah, the part number's right. The contents of the box are wrong. So I went back onto the website, Famous For, and the picture that's on their website for that particular part number is bang on. Looks exactly the same as the bits I've got. And what's inside the box is completely different. Country of origin, Turkey. So I've just emailed Famous For, because unfortunately, well, because of the current situation, they haven't got phone lines manned, etc. Don't blame them for that. Stay safe, stay sane. Don't worry about staying sober. Oh, vents are on. So I glued the new All Makes rubbers in. I just need to clean up around the edge here. A little bit where the glue seeped over. Oh, it's not the greatest paint job, but it'll do. Once it all goes flat, it'll be lovely. One disappointing thing though, obviously I destroyed the old pins when I took the visors off the old bulkhead. And I found these chappies, which seem to be quite a common kind of, I think they're made by Beer Mag. However, there is a problem. Today is a day of disappoint. So I'm going to lift the flap open, just a couple of clicks. Yeah, it's just got a little bit of air. Are you really going to be able to put up with that? And it's not even secure. Is there a trick to these? Is there a trick to them? These are the styles that I've been using. I mean, obviously on this side I just didn't bother. I'm not even bothered putting them on. Because I'm going to get the proper pins, split pin pins, if you get my drift. I think they're going to be a bit chunkier. I must admit, when I put these in, I thought, oh, these look a little bit on the thin side. And they bloody are. I mean, not an insignificant amount of in and out or up and down movement here. I wager they're about half the diameter they need to be. So that's all a bit irritating too. It does look nice with its vents on though. I'll give it that. Today is gin day. We are 4 hours and 42 minutes from a gin. Right, okay, so before then, I want to get this dash together. A box of Joy and Wonderment, which comes in a green box and has arrived, which is the new ignition switch, the one that's going to spring back for me. So I'm going to fit all that on. And the other thing that's arrived is I ordered, just wobbling around here, I ordered a new ignition column control. What are you talking about, Richard? I ordered a new wiper horn flash control. So we'll fit the ignition switch first of all, because then I can put the console back inside this bit, and then I can screw the fascia plate on. I've also got a 2-position switch, which is going to replace the 3-position switch, which is currently sitting on panel lights, because that's just a waste of a 3-position switch. I'm not going to video it, as I say, because I can't do this one-handed, and you know it's boring for you guys to watch. I will set the thing up on a tripod. There's plenty of videos of me chuntering away, swearing and shouting at things, so I don't need to be doing that with this. Oh, interesting bit of nibblage going on down there. Oh, you may have noticed the door's been taken off. I had to take the door off anyway because I want to put the mirror on the door, and you have to take the door off. But also, a bit like a Series 1, you just undo the kind of the pin, lift the pin out and take the whole Series 1 door off. Sorry, Series 2 door off. What are you talking about, Richard? And Series 3, there's just 4 half-inch nuts, and off they come. The pins come out, no problems at all. It just makes access so much easier. Yeah, you don't have to be wrestling with a door bouncing back and clouting you on the head every 12 seconds. So don't be afraid of that. You couldn't make this shit up, really, could you? Right, new switch. New switch goes in. Got a nice spring back action. However, 2 securing pins that I need to put in here. I'm working one-handed, as is usual. Ah, Mr. Gravity, there you are. Let's go and find the fucking switch. So we'll put the switch back in. And basically it goes in a particular orientation. You can only go in one way round. There he goes, he goes in. Fucking holes don't line up. So you've got these little holes here. That one is nearly there. This one is fucking miles out. If I go directly above. I just had to swear at it. A little bit of swearing on the old one, and basically it's gone in now in the right position, and I can see very clearly that the screw holes line up. So what do? Do I drill these holes larger And bear in mind, they're quite chunky holes here, and they go through, and they're there to hold the ignition switch in place. Or do I drill holes into this brand spanking new unit? Or do I just send it back and say, please get it right, dear manufacturer, faithful manufacturer? I mean, it does get to a point where you're just sick of all this shit. I mean, it's not difficult, is it, really, to actually get something and drill the pissing holes in the right fucking place. They look like they're in the right place, but they ain't. Line up the pins, one above each other. I mean, it's just a futile fucking exercise this is, but look, you can see the one on the right is further round. And if I go to the other side, the pins all line up, and that one's further round as well. So both of them have been drilled in the wrong orientation. Bastard! Okay, so I decided to drill the holes in the lock rather than the switch, and even now that's drilled out to 3mm. You can see that the screw hole is still not there. So the idea was, I thought if I could drill these holes up to 3mm, and then the screws will go in. This choke cable's getting on my tits as well. Everything's getting on my tits at the moment. If I was to put the screw into the hole, which was the maximum size it was going to be, then it would kind of just brace itself against the edge of the hole. But if I start getting too big, then, you know, the switch is likely to wobble around. Actually, no, it won't wobble around because it's got that keyway there. I certainly don't want to drill into the electrical switch part, purely because it's going to fill it with swarf. I think the last thing Lucas needs is swarf. So here we are, we've got some markings on here. What are we saying? We're saying Lucas IND 39415 P53519, whatever that means. So if you get one of these, be prepared to butcher your fucking ignition switch, because this don't fucking fit, and I'm fed up with things that have arrived which don't fit, leaving me with little choice. So I'm going to drill the lock further and find a way of securing the electrical switch in the back of the lock, because when this switch fails again, because it is remanufactured Lucas, and I generally find that pretty much anything that comes in the green box is not used old stock Lucas or even new old stock Lucas. It's actually new Lucas. Drilling it at an angle so I can get onto the hole, 4mm, and I've got the screws in. So the screws go into the holes and the switch is not able to rotate, and I've got also the spring back on the key working. I'm going to probably have to put it in the ignition really, rather than... So we go up to position 3, or position 2 and a bit, and you can see the key springs back to position 2, which is what I wanted. What a palaver. Right, now I'm just going to put this ignition switch back in the car, and then we can get on with the next job. 4 hours and 13.5 minutes to gin o'clock. Right, okay, the blower switch was intermittent, and I think I found out why. See that pin that's standing up right there? I think that should be pushed down. I think this is a manufacturing fault here. Focus, you bastard. There we are. I think that's just a manufacturing fault. So I'm going to push that down. I mean, like I say, whenever you get problems like this, the best thing to do, is just take them apart and see what happens. Yeah, you're never going to do too badly, are you? I've run out of my, contact cleaner, so I need to get some more of that. But let me push this little pin back in and see if I can get that working. Otherwise, I'll just put in the two-way switch that I took off. This is the one that came off the interior light switch, but that's actually a light switch. It's got the 6 terminals on it. It's also pretty grubby. Could do with a damn good clean up. Still waiting for the fuel pump kit to arrive. The postage is incredibly slow at the moment. Fully understand why, not complaining. But I can't get on with unbobbing the bobtail until this is out of the barn. So, as you can see, the best thing to do then is to take more things apart. Oh yes. So I've been assembling the dash. I put a little switch in the middle of the dash here for the interior light, which I haven't wired up yet. As you can see, the dash pod is all together. I've not assembled the steering wheel or the top cover yet for the steering column, purely because I've ordered the screws, because I've lost the screws that go in the bottom there. They're a 3/16 UNF 1.5 inch long screw. So people sell them kind of as a specific screw for the Land Rover. Fiendishly expensive, like £5 for a pair. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. So I've kind of found the thread quite easily, and I'm just going to order those parts. Well, I have ordered those parts up, and then I can screw this piece together, get it all in, make sure everything's in there. You can see the wires quite tightly packed in here. Around, this is the top of the fuse box, this bit here. So really just making sure that nothing is going to short out when I put this whole thing together. Everything else is working on the dash. As you can see, though, I have taken the seat height. Now, I took the seats up because the driver's seat back wasn't installed anyway, but also they're all a bit tatty. So the seat backs just screw into these holes here. The middle one has plugs on it. Seat bases just drop into position. Let me show you how that works. Slamming door. Hee-hee. Nice shut. Sneak preview. So the seat bases are here. They're not in the best of shape. But the seat base literally just slots into the frame. That's it. That's all that happens with that. And it just sits there like that. Then the seat back obviously connects into these two pillars on the side here, and all of the tools go on the bulkhead behind the seats. So you need to be able to release the seats to pull them forward in order to get access to the tools. Now there's also a slide on these things, so these later Series 3s allow you to slide the seats forward and backwards, which I guess gives really short people an opportunity to slide the seat forward, because to be honest, I don't struggle to drive a Series Land Rover, but there's only just enough room in there for me. So yeah, that's seats. Right, let me show you what I've been doing with the seat backs. Seat backs. Right, so this is the driver's seat back, and it was flopping backwards and forwards because bolts have sheared off in holes, and bolts have been drilled through holes, and it's all just a bit of a shabby mess. Now, the good news is you can take these things apart fairly easily. The bad news is, as soon as you start pissing around with them, they just fall apart. So the stitchings will come apart on this one. If I can get... I don't want to stitch things up really. I'll put some double-sided tape on it, because I'm not sure what's happening with these seat covers. If the chap who's got first refusal on this car decides he wants it, I actually understand he was going to put different seats in it anyway. So all I really want to do is to clean these threads up, clean the seats up. You can see these have been powder coated, or if they've been painted, they weren't primed first of all. There's no primer on there anywhere. So what I'll do, I probably need to take this seat back off as well. So all you do to get the seat back off is just pull these clips back, just knock them off with a screwdriver, unwrap the cover, and then the whole cover comes off with the foam backing, just comes out from the seat. Okay, that's how they come apart. And then what I was planning on doing with this one, this is the driver's seat back, was getting the wire cut brush on it to clean all the surface rust back, give it a quick de-rust, and then paint some chassis paint or something over it just to protect it. Now, where is the centre seat back gone? Up here underneath my tool bag. Let's move that over there. This is the centre seat back. It's a different design in that it's got a foam pad at the top here, which rest you can see that someone's been walking on it. And then it's just got these two clips, two pins, one either side, and it slots into these two pegs here. That one and that one there. You can see we've even got seat belts in here. No seat belt for the centre position though. We've only got seat belts for the two outside seats. Not quite sure how that would work with an MOT. Interesting, isn't it? Mind you, I think if you're sitting in the middle, you've probably got bigger problems like the ball breaker. So that's going to be my task for today while I'm still waiting for a pump kit to order. Oh, the other thing I did do, by the way, I put the outer sills on. This one on this side, let's close the door. This one on this side was a bit mangled up. I had to hot rivet a panel on the inside there, but I bolted up the sill reinforced piece in there, so that's all on. Sill covers are on both sides. Looks quite smart, doesn't it? Might have to have a bit of a sweep out in here. There is some stuff in here, isn't there? No sovereigns though. No sovereigns. And the back is just full of crap at the moment. It's all bits that were in the way in the barn, which I lobbed in there. Right, let's get on with these seats. So what was I going to do? Really, it was just a case of cleaning this all back. For the broken threads, so one here has been drilled out massively. That one there has been drilled out. So what I'm going to have to do there, I think, is just cut through the weld, knock the insert off, either put a riv nut in there or weld another nut on the back there. I suspect that that is a riv nut already. If I get the wire brush on that and clean it all up, I'll find that's a riv nut. These are just, I think these are M6 bolts. That's quite a sloppy, it's almost like someone's been putting the wrong thread in there as well. Really doesn't help, does it? Really doesn't. But once these are all cleaned up, they'll look good. I mean, Exmoor Trim's just up the road. I could see if we just retrim these things, but then it's another couple of £100 and I don't know where it's going, and it just ends up being, oh, Richard, stop it, it's not your car. It is my car. Seat base for the middle is in good order, and the seat back for the middle is in good order. So I think middle seat back I'm happy with. That can go straight back, so that's all right. It's the two outer seats that are the problem. That's the passenger seat base. It's not really good, is it? I might see if I can get another pair of covers. Another pair of covers for the outer seats. It's got the catch on the front there for locking the seat base onto the tab at the front there. This is the driver's seat base, this one. Just happened to pop it in there because it was... Why are you not closing? You are closing. Not closing just to piss you off, Richard. Yes. Right, enough of this bollocks, I'm going to get on with it. So it was a kind of powder coat that's on here, powder coat or plastic coat, I don't know, it's probably the same shit that was on the battery box. On this one, really I've not bothered taking it all off, there's no point. I've taken it off where it's loose, where the wire brush thing, you can see it's shedding itself at the moment all over the place, which is why I have the face, well you wear face masks with those things anyway. But the passenger seat unit is a lot better than the driver's seat unit. So where most of the powder coat came off it. Now, what I'm basically going to do now, oh I haven't done this edge here, look at that, missed that bit. What I'm going to do next is the holes where the bolts were either enlarged, swallow, 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 swallow. Ready? It's going to come out in a minute. Sounds like the chicks have already bloody hatched. So I missed that. Crumbs. Anyway, I've cut the bolt off. I'm going to drill through and put a riv nut in. And I'll keep it the same size as the other ones. There's not much point in trying to, because I haven't got these big nuts. You see, I haven't got these big nuts that I can put weld to. And I'm going to end up just making a right gnarls of it if I'm not careful. So I'm just going to clean that edge up. Then I'm going to just give it a very, very light de-rust. And when that's done, and I'll paint it. Oh yeah, Mr. Postie Spin. So we got the 3/16 UNF by 1.5 inch screws to hold the top and the bottom parts of the steering column trim together. They can go on in a minute. And we got a big box. Now I'm rather hoping this is going to be, you can hear the weather is more than inclement here. I'm rather hoping that this is going to be the fuel pump repair kit. Can't even get my teeth in today. Right, let me put you on the tripod. It'll be a lot easier. Here we go. Right, let's see what we've got in. It's exciting reveal. Silly ass. Oh, invoice. Oh, we got a beer mat. That's good, isn't it? Oh, that can go up on the wall. From Ang Classic Car Parts. Oh, look at this. Specialist in classic car parts of Great British vehicles. Pride, the king of classics. It's a nice bit of packaging, isn't it? It wasn't that much more than the dirt cheap shit made in Turkey. And then inside we have got... Fucking hell, they've put some effort into this, haven't they? Inspected by... I like buying stuff like this. Wrapped in grease-proof paper. Ah, there's the plastic. We had to get a bit of plastic sooner or later. Oh, I like this. Yeah, it looks like it's the right diaphragm anyway. We can rebuild the fuel pump. Oh, that is a nice bit of kit. Even looks more robust than the one. I'm not going to use the whole of this because I don't need to use the non-return valves. I'm not going to bother replacing them. But I will need gaskets and I will need seals. Part that I bought from Famous 4 that was correct part number but wrong contents. If you remember rightly from the last video when I was shouting at the car, shouting not at Famous 4 because they did a beautiful job. Refunded me instantly. Now, if we look at the differences, this is the made in Britain and this is the made in Turkey part. Well, I appreciate this is the wrong one. If anyone knows what this is off, let me know. Might even let you have it. But that's the correct profile. You know, just the incorrect and the correct profiles. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to put this together. Right, now that can go over there. I don't know what it is, it can go there. Here's the pump, there's the box. Screws can go over here. So thank you very much, Ang Classic Car Pox, Daybrook Nottingham, Triumph MG, Jaguar, Rover, BMC, Lotus and TVR. Right. Here's Mr. Pumpy McPumpface. So a couple of things we need to do on this. We need to change the diaphragm in this piece and we need to change the O-ring underneath the glass bowl here. So we're going to get a screwy-driver and we can do that. And then I can try and video some of it. Perhaps some of it could even be on the screen, eh, Richard? Right, so we've got a fairly comprehensive kit of parts here, gaskets and so forth, but I think it's only this one. No, it's not that one. Is it that one that I need? It's that one that I need. That's the only gasket I need. I guess they have multiple applications that these pumps could potentially fit on, multiple body styles. So I'll put those back in there because I don't need either of those. But they go in my big box of exciting gaskets because you never quite know when this stuff is going to be needed. Right, undo the float bowl. We'll take the glass off because I don't want to risk breaking the glass bowl. The metal catch comes off, glass bowl comes off. There's the rubber seal. And there's one that is exactly the right size. That was too big. That was exactly the right size. Look at that. So that's going to go in there. And we'll seal up against... What I do need to do is I need to get the air blower on this just to make sure there's no crap the other side of this gauze. Now I did give the gauze an ultrasonic clean and it's come out pretty nice, but I just want to make sure there's no particles on the fuel side of the gauze, the filtered side of the gauze. Right, before we get to that though, let's undo the pump itself. Pump. Right, so we rotate him anti-clockwise and he comes out. He's out, there we are. That's the old one. Just compare the old like for like. Yeah, they look exactly the same. Especially when I turn them the right way up. Okie doke, so that can go over there. Let's pop this fella back in. So it's just a case of locating the end piece in and rotating it back to where it was before. Might be pushed a bit harder than that. No. It is going to go in. Just double check these ends. Yeah, I'd say they're exactly the same. So it's just this is pebcac, I'm afraid. I am putting it in the right way round, aren't I? Yes, I am. Because it needs to finish at that position. It's not quite locating on this spring. Okay, found out roughly what the problem is here, and that is that the orientation, so just needed a little bit of thought to go over it. The orientation, so I line these up so that these are both in line. The orientation of the tab is different. So it does mean that the end result of the tab is also going to be different. So when we look inside here, I can see, you probably guys won't be able to see, but I can see that there is a pair of levers. Yes, I can see those. So what I need to basically do is to put this in so that that goes in parallel to the levers, which it's going to go. Let's put the spring in there as well. I might as well just do this in one go now. Now I can see what the issue is. Push him down and then rotate nearly. So you need to go round to there. Right, okay, so let's do that. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Bit further, bit further. Another hole. Come on. It's a bit stiff, I'll give it that. There it is, it's in. That's it in, beautifully. Attempt fake now by taking it out and proving to you. So the O-ring in there is to seat against the stem on the diaphragm, and that's to prevent, I guess, enormous amounts of oil from the engine washing up and into the base of the pump. It doesn't need any of that. So we'll push that back down again, not all the way, and we'll rotate, wiggling up to, there we are, he's in again. So there we are. I'm not going to tempt fate by doing it a third time, but that's that in. So now what we need to do is we need to position the top of the pump back on. What's going on, Richard? Oh, done it to the wrong hole. Silly arse. Right, okay, let's rotate it again. Tool. Right, okay, now we're on the right holes. And we're located. There's a whole load of holes on here. We've got blank holes and then we've got threaded holes. So we've now got it on the threaded holes, which is right. Doesn't matter, I don't believe, that the tab is pointing in a different direction. I think the tab was a reference point for you to get the spade on the end, or the flat edge of the end of the diaphragm in through the teeth, which I've done now. So let's put these screws in. It's a little bit of a faff, I'm afraid, chaps. Now, I'm not putting any jointing compound in between the diaphragm and the aluminium body on this thing. Comments below as to whether you think I should or not. That went down the wrong way, didn't it? Right. Oh, that's got some suction to it. Oh, Right, okay, this is gonna be interesting. So this gauze is looking beautiful. I can go back in, and the seal could go back over the top of it. That's in. And then I might actually put just a wee bit of Vaseline on the seal. Just to help it seal. Right, Mr. Glass Bowl and Mr. Go on you go. He goes up there. That's him there. Then we'll screw that tight. I don't want to go berserk with it, but I don't want it to leak. Yeah, it's fairly sucking. Let's put it on the car really and find out. Find out if we fix the problem. So there's the gasket for it. There's the old seal, RF. I can go in the bin or on the floor, as the case may be. Right, let's install this into the car. I'm going to bolt it up, get the fuel line onto it, and we'll start see if it's pumping fuel. Trying to get all this interior back together again. It's been a bit of a kerfuffle. So I've turned the light round so it's not in the camera. I've managed to take the back seat back off. It's got a metal backing on it. Where's the passenger seat one? So here's the passenger seat backing. This is how these things fit together. So they have a nice metal backing, and then when you buy your trim kits from Exmoor Trim, other suppliers are available, they fit over the top of this metal frame, as I'm led to believe. And that's pretty much the way that the original interior was kind of put together. So here's the back of the passenger seat, which is some kind of homemade manufactured thing, and it should look like that. That's the kind of I guess the comfortable version. The what do they call it? Premium interior. So all I did, you saw in the video a bit earlier on, took all the loose paint, well, it wasn't even paint, it was powder coat. So took the loose powder coat off with a wire cut brush, and I've painted it with a Rust-Oleum. Treated the rust, put a Rust-Oleum paint on there, cleaned all the threads up as you've seen, and I've got the seat back now. So the seat back for the driver's seat is in, and the seat base is normal. It's kind of normal box thing, sits in here. I'm pondering whether I need to buy a couple of outer seats for this thing, because the centre seat, although it's not kind of located at the moment, the centre seat is actually not in bad shape. And the centre seat's rarely used anyway. But it's the two outer seats. As you can see, Mr. Duct Tape has been out here. Not done a bad job, that. Land Rover-esque repair. I think the passenger seat, though, is a little bit past it. Right, so what else have we done? I've got the whole of the dash. Let's turn the light around. Thank you, Richard. Got the whole of the dash back together again. I've put a little switch in here, which is going to be wired up eventually to the interior lights. It could be wired up to the interior lights. It could be wired up to fog lights. At the moment, it's set up with a fused but live circuit. So basically you put that switch on and the interior lights go on inside the van. At the moment, they're not wired up to anything, but that would work. I fiddle around with all of the switches up here, so all of the switch gear now works. We've got a single position switch for the dash lights, whereas it was a dual position, and the headlight switch works as well. Heater controls, they're in. So the vent works, and the hot and cold cable is not connected to anything at the moment. So the vents are working, the fart flaps are working. I got the coiled pipe goes up to the dash top on the driver's side, but the one on the passenger side just isn't up to the mustard. So I'm going to look at getting another one of those. I just object to paying kind of Land Rover patent part prices for them. It's just a bloody coiled hose, for crying out loud. You don't need to pay £10 for the damn thing. So I'm going to look at somewhere like Car Builder Solutions and see if I can find a better hose that will go into that area. That is the non-return pipe for the washers, and I've been sorting those out as well. You can see the interior is starting to come together. Got all the controls in, blah 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 blah. Put the cowl around the steering column. Just need to put the steering wheel back on, which is around somewhere. Where is the steering wheel? It was back there. Maybe it slipped back, or someone's nicked it. There it is. Is that it down there? That is it. One steering wheel. So we've got the steering wheel. I'll pop that on in a second. So fuel pump was a bit of a palaver. Put the new gasket in, as you've seen, but it wasn't particularly good at pumping fuel. So I went through the manual again, and it did say that you have to test it for leaks, blah, 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 blah. There were no leaks on it. I had it submersed. However, what I did find is that it kind of needs priming. So I made myself up a little watch, just found a little bit of metal. What was that? Found myself a little bit of metal, attached it onto the pump, put a piece of rubber hose into a fuel can, and primed the pump using the primed lever, and it sucked the fuel through quite quickly. And as soon as the bowl was full, then I reconnected the tank, and since then it's been sucking fuel. So if I fanny around and get the fuel hose off the carburetor, real time. Look at this. I need this. I mean, obviously this is a braided hose. I've got no kind of intention of hanging on to this braided hose, but for the time being, I just wanted to just find some way of getting the car started. Where's my plastic cup gone? Stuff just keeps disappearing in this place. I don't know where it goes to, but that will fucking do. Right, one container. Bum, 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 bum. Let's just put that down there for now. I'll put that in there for now. And then back round over here. And pump on the lever, and we should see fuel coming through. Yeah. So that's pretty good. So fuel pump is working. So next thing then, it's going to be Mr. Starty, isn't it? Mr. Starty Warty, Farty. There's a couple of little odds and sods I'm going to do before then. I just want to check out the ignition circuit, get that all sorted out, put the steering wheel on, get all the crap off the roof, clear all the crap out of the front of the barn here. Because when this starts, I don't really want to be smoking out the poor swallow nest, which is up here, which I've been busily building. So I want to kind of, if it starts, it wants to come out fairly rapidly, otherwise we're going to end up filling the barn with fumes, and that's not very responsible, is it? Yeah, and the other thing I need to do is I need to top up the steering box, because that's one of those jobs that was on my tag, I think. What have we got here? Pinch bolt relay, coolant to block, done that. Oh, I haven't actually written on this label, but I do know that I need to top up the steering box because it was upside down in the back of my car. Good tip, by the way. Someone's pointed this out. On the brake pedal tower, it's got these whacking great big bungs here, and on this side of here, it's missing. And that is quite a common source of drafts. Not the board game, but quite a common source of drafts into the footwell, because that hole you can actually see. If I look in the footwell, you can see the hole up there. So you get draft into the footwell. I mean, I know these things aren't particularly airtight, but when you get a draft onto your foot when you're driving along in the middle of the winter, it's not particularly pleasant. So yes, I will need to get a bung for that as well. Well worth looking at. Oh, the other thing I need to do is I haven't connected up the choke cable. That's the choke cable there, because I had this ignition switch in and out of the car like a whore's drawers. Right, air filter as well by the looks of things. Test the vacuum on the servo. Yeah, we're kind of getting there quite quick, aren't we, really? Of a fashion. Oh yeah, the steering box is topped up. It's a little bit inaccessible down here, and there's a potential to make a weapons grade load of mess. So first and foremost, the plug has got a 7/16. No, it's not 7/16. I don't know what size the square plug is, but I did find that a 1/2 inch square drive will fit over the top of it. The alternative is if you haven't got a kind of star shaped 1/2 inch, what the fuck are you talking about, 1/2 inch socket, then the other thing I did find would fit, but not as beautifully, was the back end of a 1/2 inch drive socket. So you plug that onto it and then use a spanner on the top end of it, and that would have done it also. Now the other thing is to top it up, get yourself one of these chaps. They're brilliant, mess free, and you just suck all the oil into it. Have yourself a nice big bit of cloth. I'll put the lid back on that before I kick it over, and then I've wedged a bit of cloth down here, and then just topped it up. Yeah, that seems to be working. Right, now we can pop this back in this plug, and move on to the next job that I wanted to do, which is probably connect up the choke cable. That goes, it's going to go back in. I don't need to video going back in, but it will go back in. It just needs to be two-handed. I like working one-handed, I really do. That's the sort of drive I was talking about, to put the steering box plug back in, and you can see the plug down there, and this just fits. I'm not going to bang it on, but it goes on enough that I can loosen and tighten it. So you don't need to rush out and buy yourself a huge great pile of square plug adapter blah 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 blahs. You can, oh, nice oily rag finish there, look at that. Yes, perfect patina. Just one of those does the job, doesn't it? Right, let's pop that back over there again. Let's do the choke cable next. So choke cable goes through this little clip here, sorry, wibbling the camera around quite a lot here, and then secures onto the carburetor there. There it goes in. This thing, this probably original style choke has got a big step on the outer sheath. So what I'll do there is I will make sure that that gets clamped. No, wrong way round. Silly arse. Oh dear. How's your lockdown going? Yes. Two hands. Sorry, folks. Here we go. So that's what I meant. Was you got this ferrule on the end of the cable, so you've got the inner cable and the outer sheath, and I just clamp it to the carburetor body where that recess is, and then all I need to do then is make sure the choke is fully open. This is the choke here, and effectively when I pull the choke cable, that's the thing that will close. And effectively it's the same as putting your end over the top of the carburetor, which often starts a cold engine. Makes it fuel rich. No air, all fuel. And then I just wanted to check in here. This thing's having a terrible time focusing today. That the choke lever is right in. And then we'll just adjust this up. So I'll get that tightened up, and I'll show you how to double check its adjustment. Right, that seems to be still not focusing very well. I'm going to get myself a new camera on, so. Right, okay. So just what I've basically done is I'm tightening the nut which holds the inner cable. I'm tightening out where there's a big old crimp on the cable, thus suggesting that that is where it was before. I'm not going to go absolutely berserk on it. It doesn't need to go berserk on it, because the inner cable and the outer cable are pretty much been lubed up anyway. So here we've got a completely open choke. If I go and pull the choke or the cold start or whatever mechanism enrichment device open, so I'm going to pull the lever, lock him off. Now when it's out like that, I'm expecting the butterfly on the top to be completely closed. Yeah, that's it, that's done the job. Right, and we'll just check that when I push it back in again, it springs back closed again, springs back open again. Too much gin, or not enough gin, I think that's the problem last night. there we are, chokes now open, or the enrichment device is off or closed, whatever way you want to look at it, you know, and the disc is back to its baseline position. Okie doke. Right. What else did I want to do? Ignition and clear the way, and air filter. Let's get the air filter out. So these air filters are an oil bath setup, which is dead easy to work with. I don't know. I suppose because it's not a particularly common system these days, that people don't really understand what they are or how they work. Let's stand it up here on the bench. Maybe even get the tripod out. Like that. Right. I cleared this bench up the other day. It's like a bomb site again already. Right, get out of the way, get out of the way. Basil, fuck off. There we are. Okie doke. Right, so when it comes to these things, there's 3 clips around the base of the unit, and what you effectively do then is lift the top of the unit clear. That's it, that's the top unit. Now these gauzes, they do come out, you wash them off in petrol, whatever. You wash, well, maybe even just gunk them off. If you wash them off with petrol, just be careful that they dry out thoroughly before you put them back on again. But these fellas do come out. There's a nut on the top there to get the top one out. Now the bottom one for that is inside here. There's not a huge amount of oil inside this thing, but this gauze is going to come out. There he is. Okay, that's the second gauze. It's just, there's supposed to be oil in the bottom of here. There isn't a lot. So I'm going to top that up. Just an engine oil I normally lob in there. Give it a quick clean down on the outside so I'm not getting absolutely filthy while I'm doing it. I'm not going to bother cleaning these gauzes yet. We'll see how the engine runs first of all, because the whole thing's going to need a bloody good tune up anyway. Where are we? Engine oil. What do we got here? Should have just a can of generic Itchy Fanny 5000 down here. Auto trans fluid. I don't know what the fuck that is. Oh, 1540, that one. Right, 1540. And there's a top-up line. So I'll put that right in the way so you can't see it. There is a top-up line. It's on the inside here. It's pretty much where that thing is there. So you fill it up to that line there. And on the inside it's got like a mark around it. Strictly speaking, you would tip everything out of it and start again, but let's level that off. Quite a bit of oil. This thing's obviously been on its side at some point. Right, so that's topped up the oil bath air filter. We'll put that fella back in. Put this chap back on the top. And then I might give him a quick wipe down. I've got some cloth, nice oily rag somewhere. But this is only really just for the start-up, so I want to get in the car and then we can assess what's going on afterwards. Give it a tune up, replace the ignition components as necessary. I've already done the plugs, haven't done the HT leads, haven't done the cap, haven't done the points or the condenser. All of that is original. Right then, and that goes into the motor. That's not very level, is it? What's happened there? Oh, the tripod's not on. The tripod's on the piss. We'll get that out of the way, we'll get that out of the way. Drop the air filter back down where it goes. He goes down there like that. That goes over the top like that. And then that fella, which is not the original catch. I don't know what's happened to the original catch. Long gone. Goes under there. And just holds it all together. Allegedly. It's a bit of a faff, but it works. There we are, just turn that a little bit tighter. just to hold it steady. I haven't put the battery cage in, so there is no battery cage. That will do that. And then on this side, we've got, it's a little bit more complicated than the... Sorry about that, chaps. Silly camera ran out of space. But basically, sticks of fuel in there. What I've done is just connected up the breather. I don't know if you got it on the end of the video there or not. I'll have to edit it all up. Stuck it onto the top of the carburetor body. And now I think we are ready to give him a start. So, cleared the way. What do you reckon? Ooh, is that other door closed? No. What we haven't done here is taken all the crap off the roof. The reason I have to do this is because there's not a lot of headroom underneath that entry point into the barn. I remember when we rolled it backwards and into the barn, it was blooming close. It's probably just going to sweep all this stuff off the roof, you see. Now these chaps, these are the crash pads that go above the doors inside. So I want to keep those. They just want taking apart, and the rust needs all cleaning up. It's a job for another day. Let's pop it all on the bench for now. Another job I wanted to do today was I've got a diesel fuel filter, which I'm going to drop into, well, not going to drop it into, I'm going to draw the fluid out of my tank. This is the remains of the old headlining, but there is some value in some of the fixings in there. That can go over there in the Land Rover Sandy the Landy box. In fact, that can go in the Sandy the Landy box as well. I think we're almost there. Is there anything else up there? The camera is actually quite useful here. Oh no, what's that? I don't know what that is. I'll get it out though. Bom, 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 bom. That's my pile of crap that needs to be sorted out as well. Get my fucking life sorted out. Bom, 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 bom. Bom, 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 bom. Oh, I'll tell you what that is. I want that. That's good news. That's the panel that goes across the transmission tunnel. It's not the best, is it? But I might be able to use it as a pattern, you see, to cut another one out. It sits on the bulkhead in front of the gear sticks. Bum, 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 bum. That can go in the Sandy the Landy box of schlock. This piece here goes along the front of the windscreen. It just sits above the windscreen, and again it kind of butts up to where the headlining would go. So what I need to do with this, I think, we're getting distracted here, Richard, but I just need to take off the covering and cut myself out another piece of steel that's the same shape, size, and I can make up that piece again. I mean, I could put that back in again, but it's just a rusty, shonky load of old crap, really, isn't it? Right, moment of truth. Will it work? Should be a laugh, shouldn't it? Oh my goodness! Ah, we're in. Right, okay. Let's just check the clutch is working first of all. Tell you what, should we check to connect the battery? I think I need to have a word with myself about connecting the battery up. Silly arse. I've had enough of my Samsung Galaxy S3 now. Someone recommend me a good camera that I can use for this vlog, because obviously you can see it's driven out the barn. It got that far, but then it conked out. And I just think it's dodgy fuel in the tank and so forth. So we're going to go over the ignition now. But I'm sick to death of this bloody phone, because it never videos when I do want it to, and it doesn't video when I don't want it to, and it doesn't when I do. And it's a pain in the fucking balls. Right, so let me, I'm going to continue fiddling around with this, and then I will take it for a drive around the field, I think. I think that's going to be the way forwards.